Hello there, lovely people. It's Alex from Nintendo Life here, and welcome to my extended and unscripted thoughts on The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Emphasis on mine. It's not necessarily Nintendo Life, it's just me, little old Alex only. This video is going to be pretty rough around the edges. It's just going to be me nattering on about The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. No new information to share with you, unfortunately, unless you haven't really been following it, in which case you might pick up a few bits and bobs, I don't know. But if that's not really a thing, then you might want to close the video now. I'll give you a moment. Still here? Lovely. Okay, so I've had a couple of hours with The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild now, and I can say so far that things are looking very, very promising indeed. Good lord, it looks good. Well, I say it looks good, I mean, you know, visually, we'll come back onto that. But actually, as the game plays, it's really, really good. It's so fresh and different, and all these varying different things that I could say about it, which I'm going to do. When I was first thrown in and I was just doing the free roam, you know, running around, chopping down trees and doing all that sort of stuff, I will admit it did not feel like a Zelda game. But don't worry, because I also played the story demo mode, which actually has various story elements. It's when Link wakes up and all that sort of stuff. More stuff to do with the Sheikah Towers and things like that, and the Sheikah Slate, and the Old Man, and all that lovely stuff. And then it really started to feel like a Zelda game. But all that free roaming stuff is so fresh and different and new that it really brings a new lease of life to the series. And honestly, I think that with all the story elements and everything in it, it does feel like a natural evolution of the series, and I think it's probably about time. A lot of what I saw on streams and things like that was just the running around, free roaming type thing, and yes, that is a lot of fun, but when you get the story elements in there as well, honestly, I didn't have that much because I only had about 20 minutes. The demo was actually time limited, which was kind of annoying, but you know, sort of, you've got to play by the rules anyway. So it really does start to feel more like a Zelda game, which is really, really important to me personally, because if it did just basically feel like an entirely new game and it didn't have all of those sort of roots that have been set in Zelda, I honestly would think it would be a bit more disappointing. But who knows, maybe people would have loved it, we won't know because that's not what the game is. One of the things that really shone out to me was all the little details here and there, like when Link kicks a chest open and he doesn't have any trousers on, he doesn't have any shoes on, and so he kicks it and he sort of stubs his toe and he goes, oh, ah, and it's a very short little animation, but it really makes all the difference. I didn't see it when I played it personally, but which is strange actually, because I did run around a lot in my pants, which you won't be surprised to hear. There's another little animation as well, like when you try and use a melee attack and Link doesn't actually have a weapon equipped, he sort of goes, because he's not got anything there, and it's just little details just like that that really sort of brings the whole thing to life in a way that with other open world games, although Nintendo were quite keen not to call it an open world game for some reason, an open world experience, you know what Nintendos are like, and it's generally they're very enjoyable open world experiences, but they lack that sort of that element of charm that Nintendo is so good at, and that is why it's so nice to see it in Breath of the Wild. Some of you might actually be surprised to hear that the game is much more like the Wind Waker than anything else, and not in terms of gameplay or anything like that, although there are elements that are kind of, you know, Wind Waker-esque, but generally it's more the charm of the game, the way that it's presented, the characters, the stylizing a little bit, but generally it's sort of halfway between Skyward Sword and Zelda Wind Waker, or maybe even, you know, sort of like the more realistic, and Wind Waker, it's semi-cel shaded, it's a new art style, but yeah, it's pretty cool, but my light does not want to behave. And basically, it's just got that level of charm and that real characterization that Link so desperately needs in all of his games, because in things like Twilight Princess, no offense to the game, it's a great game, but Link is kind of bland and just sort of, I am the hero, I must save the day, and I'm going to do it with as blank a face as possible. There's none of that. Link really has some personality and character to him, much like in the Wind Waker, where he's sort of going, wah! And his eyes go big and his eyes go all over the place and things like that. And this Link again, also, he's looking at wild boars that run past and things like that, much like in a Mario Kart 8 with the Luigi deaths there and all that sort of thing. So as far as the actual charm and the polish of the game goes, it's really up there, it's really fantastic. One of the things that's not so good about the game, and I don't like to say this because it really is a cracking game, or at least the demo is the fact that the Wii U really does kind of struggle to run it. I'll be honest, it's amazing that the Wii U can even run it, and generally there are a few little things here and there that it can't keep up with. Things like some of the textures aren't very high resolution and things like that. It's all generally graphical things, but sometimes you do get frame drops and things like that. but generally when it comes to the actual processing and the physics engine is probably the best physics engine on the Wii U, full stop. Like, honestly, there's nothing like it on Wii U. It's really, really fantastic. I know we've been told that it's going to be the same experience on NX and Wii U, but I would be hugely surprised if the NX is actually more powerful than the Wii U, which here's hoping. Then I genuinely believe that they will actually actively try and improve these things rather than making the frame drops and everything the same on the NX, because if anything, that sounds like more work. I genuinely believe that it's going to be the same game, but it's going to run better on NX. If it doesn't do that, I'm going to be surprised and genuinely disappointed. Also, in case you didn't know, the game is absolutely chuffing massive. Seriously, the plateau, the thing that you can explore, it's I don't mean this in a bad way, but it's laborious to get from one end to the other just because it takes so long. But that is not a bad thing. This world is huge, sprawling, and the plateau is 2% of the game. Seriously, this thing is just absolutely astronomically huge. I think maybe it doesn't dwarf Xenoblade Chronicles X. I think they may be a bit bigger, but when you got the scales and everything, which really does shrink it down in that sense. You don't really have anything like that in Zelda yet. I don't know what other things you can unlock, but when you get on a horse and stuff like that, maybe it'll feel a bit smaller, but at the moment it's feeling wow, it's feeling big. Another thing you can do in the game, of course, which is very typical of open world games, is you can find ingredients and cook them up and make various things and things like that. And whilst it's been done before in loads of open world games, it's fairly common, but in this game, I don't know, it feels... There aren't as many items as, say, in like Fallout 4 or anything like that. At least not that I could find, and again, I've only been on the plateau, which is only 2% of the game, so you don't know. But generally, the items themselves feel much more substantial. They seem to be in fewer quantities, so, you know, when you find an item, you do want to pick it up, you do want to hang on to it. Even if it's just a bokoblin fang or something like that, you can make a potion or a poison out of that, or I don't even know whether you can make poisons actually thinking about it, so don't take that for red. It may just be potions to increase your speed and things like that. But generally, they just feel like they have more substance to them, and every item has a purpose, and it's really, really important that you try and make a note of all the different things that you can make, and because, believe me, there are an incredible amount of recipes as well. The world is also a lot more interactive than other games, like with the actual landscape. You can interact with it, obviously, with the fire and chopping down trees and things like that. It really feels like you are actually in this world and you have an impact on that world. When you clear out a bokoblin camp, it is gone. It doesn't respawn. The enemies don't reappear in it, or at least not in the demo. Again, that may change, because if you ridded the entire world of bokoblin camps and then all of a sudden you don't have any bokoblin camps to go to, that could be a little bit boring. I don't know. We don't know what's going to be happening in the final game, but in the demo, once it's gone, and I think that does give everything a feeling of not permanence, a feeling of fragility and things like that. And Link himself is also pretty fragile. It's probably the easiest game to die on, at least in the Zelda series. My goodness gracious me, can you die easily? So, closing thoughts, the game does look absolutely superb. Wonderful, cracking stuff. I only hope that the final product will be as good as the demo makes it out to be. I honestly believe it will be, but, you know, only time will tell. Things may change. Maybe the plateau is the best bit and everything else is really barren. I don't know. I genuinely believe that's not the case, but, well, we'll just have to wait and see. Watch this space. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, then why don't you try and explore all the different regions of that subscribe button, and be sure to check out nintendolife.com for all sorts of lovely Nintendo related content. Thank you again for watching. Bye bye. I'm honestly, if the NX is more powerful, I would be very, very in this game, I don't know why, but it just feels